The Bengals, though, they need to lock up talent like this because their division is brutal. The question becomes, do they have enough firepower on offense to win in the AFC North, considering the Ravens are there, the Steelers lie dormant, and the Browns, well, their defense is excellent, Manti.
Yeah, it's such a competitive division. Right? You have the Ravens, and according to our analysts yesterday, the Ravens are projected to be in the Super Bowl. So you have that competition in that division. But when it comes to Joe Burrow, Sean Payton would always tell us when he was with the Saints, as long as you have a quarterback, you always have a chance. And then you pair him up with Jamar Chase. That's when you have those iconic duos. You hear of the Steve Young, Jerry Rices, the Peyton Manning, the Marvin Harrisons, the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, the Kelsey Mahomes. You have those pairings, and they're that safety blanket for that quarterback. And when you have those two pieces together, it's like peanut butter jelly. You don't separate them. And so I really like their chances of being competitive in their division. Now, with everybody else in that division, it makes it a little bit more challenging, not only for the Bengals, but everybody else besides the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that there's another player on here, a strong role player, wide receiver, T. Higgins. I mean, I think he's a guy that complements a guy like Chase, Jamar Chase, very well. But when you have Joe Burrow, just like what you're talking about, Joe Burrow's the dude, man. Like, I mean, to me, this is a non-question. I mean, of course they have enough firepower. Now, look, they lost Joe Mixon. Like, that to me is the one area I look at that and like, are they going to have that dude in the backfield? Because I think everybody knows that a strong run game helps the pass game. And the inverse is true. A strong passing game helps the run game. So it'd be interesting to see how they, kind of fill in that hole and that gap for missing a Joe Mixon. But I'm very, very confident in the firepower in Jamar Chase and, of course, Joe Burrow.
Well, listen, I think it's this. What I like about this team, guys, it's just nice and quiet. It's a little under the radar somehow. There's not a lot of hubbub and not a lot of pomp and circumstance. The two biggest stories over the last month for the Bengals, in order, are their quarterback's hair color and their star wide receiver's contract deal, in that order. And it's very easy to forget because Burrow got hurt last year. This Bengals team won 4 out of their last 6 games with Jake Browning, and they played the Chiefs very, very close in Week 17. They are much more than Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They are a good team. And as far as weaponry and stuff, I know Mixon was gone. He was productive. I think it was time. They have Zach Moss. They have Chase Brown, who we've always liked. You're going to learn the name Andre Yoshivas, who is this crazy track star project from the Ivy League, who is now their wide receiver 3. They will have vertical ability. They will compete. They are much more than just Joe Burrow. And it shakes out like they are not some snake in the grass. They will not be some Cinderella. Let's do a little closest to the pin right now, guys. I'm going to go around the horn and ask you, in the preseason Super Bowl odds, the respected odds that are out there, okay? If number 1 is the Chiefs and number 32 is the Panthers, where do you think the Bengals are from 1 to 32? Just take a guess right now. Preseason Super Bowl odds to win the whole thing. Go ahead.
Wow, look, well, if you think about Joe Burrow is 3-1 versus the Kansas City Chiefs against Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to put them right now. I'm going to put them right dead in the middle. I'm going to put them 16, maybe 17.
16.
I was going to put him at 4th. I was going to put him at 4th.
I think that the question is, Kyle, can Joe Burrow stay healthy? If Joe Burrow can stay healthy, they're a top 5 team in the NFL, in my opinion. So I'm kind of like Jamie. As long as Joe Burrow's out on that field, I think they have a great chance. They're going to make the playoff. And what they've been doing with Jamar Chase lately, as of last year, Jamar Chase was always a Z receiver. He's the farthest outside receiver in a 3-by-1 formation. But having him last year, they started to move him around, put him in the slot a little bit, get those matchup nightmares. As long as Jamar Chase is back, Joe Burrow is back there throwing the ball, I think they're in great shape.
And the question is to win the Super Bowl.
So we had 2 top 5s, and we had a 16. They're at 7, guys. 7 is a great spot. Remember, they're ahead of Bills, Cowboys, Jets, Packers, Dolphins, Rams, Browns, like teams that we expect to do huge things this year. It's strange because they're quiet, and part of the reason they're quiet is because the Ravens are the Ravens. The Steelers are constantly in the news. There's other shiny objects in their division. They have Burrow. They have a lot more than just Burrow. They won 4 out of 6 to end the season. This is definitely a team that will matter in the end. I'm into them.
To play devil's advocate just for a minute, Joe Burrow is fantastic. The firepower question, that is about the personnel on the field. One of the major changes, though, that they dealt with this offseason was the loss of their offensive coordinator, Brian Callahan, moving on to the Tennessee Titans. So he has been there every year that Joe Burrow, Callahan was hired in the offseason in 19. He has now become the head coach of the Tennessee Titans because of what he can do with quarterbacks. I think Rand Carthon with the Titans identified the fact that look at what Callahan did with Burrow. Can he do the same with Will Levis? So this is interesting to me because I think exactly what we saw last year when they had a backup quarterback come in and win games, that has a lot to do with Callahan and the way he calls games and the way he prepares his quarterback. So if something were to trip them up, I'm curious if it is because they have an absent headset in Brian Callahan and what he used to represent on the sideline. Now, yesterday, this was great. This took off all over the internet. You were, Manti, you categorized quarterbacks into different categories. There were 3 of them. It was the Navy SEALs, snipers, and field generals. Okay, so just maybe list off for an example so people understand.
Yep.
You field generals, you had Rodgers, right? Snipers was...
Snipers were the Tuas. They were the Drew Breeses of the world.
Okay, and then the Navy SEAls by land and by ground.
Yes, the dual threat guys that not only can beat you with their feet, but they can beat you in the air.
Like,
there's a lot of guys that are dual threat that can't beat you in the air.
Okay, so that's like a Lamar. So where do you put Joe Burrow in your categories today?
Joe Burrow is one of those field generals. He's one of those dying breeds. And when I say field general, I need everybody to understand it's not only their ability to throw the ball exceptionally well, it's their understanding of the game of football in its entirety. From an organic situation, from a holistic situation, understanding where pieces are supposed to be. They're the coach on the field. The coach doesn't need to tell them in their headset what to run. They know exactly what to run. And that's why Joe Burrow is one of those dying breed field generals where it's a chess match between the offensive coordinator and the linebacker. But in these cases with the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, the Peyton Mannings, it's actually a battle between me and the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. The thing that is most important about Burrow, okay? He has beaten Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game. It actually can happen. It's so rare and such a special accomplishment. It is the ultimate skin on the wall. Mahomes' playoff losses to Brady as a Patriot, to Brady as a Buccaneer, to Joe Burrow. That's how this works with this dude. So Joe Burrow is an important figure. If you have Chiefs fatigue, if you don't want them to win 3 in a row, you want Joe Burrow in the playoffs. And it doesn't have to be home. It could be in Arrowhead. He's won there. It is a very, very special thing. 5-2 in the playoffs, but more importantly, he has actually made Xerxes bleed. He knows how to beat Mahomes. It is possible. We need him out there if you want Mahomes to not see this thing through.
He has thread the needle on the arrow through the Achilles heel and right in his
sniper.
Exactly. Maybe put him in all the categories at this point.